Dear students, I welcome you all to this new video lesson in the e-learning series for the subject of computer science class 12th. In this video lesson we will be covering a new chapter, that is idea of efficiency, and in it we will be comparing the algorithms. Okay, so the name of the chapter is idea of efficiency and it will cover algorithm comparisons. Okay, so let us see what are the points that we will be covering in this chapter. First we will be discussing algorithmic efficiency, then we will be discussing computational complexity, estimating complexity of algorithm, a big O notation, calculating complexities, then we will be having best, average and worst case complexities, then we will see some common growth rates of algorithms, and at the end we will be having some examples depicting how to calculate complexity of an algorithm that is given to you, and at the end you will be having some assignments. Okay, so let's start. So first we will discuss algorithm efficiency. You have studied about algorithm in class 11th. It is a step-by-step solution to a given problem. Yes, written in a simple English-like language. So in computer science, it is important to measure efficiency of algorithms before applying them on a large scale. So in this chapter, we will be taking examples of searching algorithms. You have studied about two searching algorithms. One is linear search that you have studied in class 11th, and another is binary search that you have studied this class. Okay, so both the algorithms are for searching an element in a list, but both have different speed. Okay, so suppose we have to search an element in a list, then we have two options. One is linear search, another is binary search. So first we have to measure the efficiency of algorithm before we apply that on a given data. Okay, so performance of an algorithm depends on many factors. Those are internal and external factors. What are internal factors? They define the algorithm efficiency in terms of time required to run, space or memory required to run. Okay, what is the time that algorithm will take, and what will be the amount of memory that will be required for that algorithm to run. And coming to external factors, that is in size of input. What is the size of input that you are giving to the algorithm? What will be the size of the list if we take the example of searching? Then external factors also include speed of the computer in which you are running that algorithm. If it is a fast one, it will take less time. Okay, and the quality of compiler that you are using. Okay, so there can be different compilers for running that algorithm, so the quality of that compiler also matters. It comes under external factors. Okay, but the external factors are controllable to some extent. Okay, you can control the size of input, you can control the speed of computer and the quality of compiler. So the internal factors are studied and measured in order to define the efficiency, or it can be called complexity of an algorithm. So we will be focusing ourselves on the internal factors. Okay, next we have computational complexity. So this combined term consists of two terms. One is computation, another is complexity. So what is computation? Computation involves the problems to be solved and the algorithm to solve them. So first you will be having a problem, and beside that you will be having some algorithms to solve that problem. For example, we have taken searching in a list is a problem, and the two algorithms present with us are linear search and binary search. Similarly, in the case of sorting, we also have, you have studied earlier, we have selection sort, we have bubble sort, we have insertion sort, we have merge sort, and we have many more options like this. Okay, but the main problem is of sorting, and we have various algorithms as a solution. Okay, So it is in a computation we have a problem and the algorithms that are there to solve that problem. Now the next term is complexity. It involves the study of the factors to determine how much resource is required for that algorithm to run effectively. So the resources that are required to run that algorithm are covered inside complexity. Okay. So resources generally include the time to run the algorithm, that is called time complexity or temporal complexity, and the space it requires to run, that is called space complexity. So for a particular algorithm we will be focusing on time complexity and space complexity. Get it? I think you are understanding it. It is a completely theoretical chapter. You have to understand it first, then you will be able to apply to get the gist of this lesson. Okay, that is, you must understand each and every term before moving forward. Okay. Now there are two terms, effectiveness and efficiency. Okay. So what is effectiveness? Effectiveness means that the algorithm carries out its intended function correctly. Okay. So for the problem for which the algorithm is designed, it should do its function correctly. Okay. It should not run incorrectly. It should be working correctly. Then it is called effective. Okay. So an algorithm will be called effective if it is doing its task correctly. And what is efficiency? Efficiency means the algorithm should be correct with the best possible performance. Okay, so the efficiency focuses on performance, where the effectiveness focuses on correctness. Okay, so effectiveness deals with the correctness of the algorithm, whereas the efficiency will be dealing with the best performance. Okay, so it will be focusing on performance. To measure efficiency, we determine complexity. Okay, so complexity means how complex that problem is. Okay, how up to what level its performance can go. Okay, so complexity of an algorithm, this is very important line. Complexity of an algorithm quantifies the resource needed as a function of amount of data processed. Okay. So the complexity depends upon the amount of data processed and the resource required. Okay, both the things. Okay, so it quantifies the resources needed as a function of amount of data processed. Okay, so the resources needed will be a function of the data you are processing. Complexity is not the absolute measure. You will not be getting the absolute value. Okay, but it will be a bounding function describing the behavior of algorithm as the size increases. So you will be having an upper bound of that, where you will be getting upper bound value. So complexity, whenever you will be getting it, it will be an upper bound. That means it is the highest thing that can be that the complexity of that algorithm, we will be getting the upper bound. Okay, the highest possible value. It allows the comparison of algorithm for efficiency and predicts their behavior as data size increases. Every algorithm will work equally when the data is less, but the main problem starts when the data size increases. So this complexity will give us the comparison between algorithms. So we will be getting the complexity of linear search and binary search. Then we will be comparing it with then we can compare the speed of both the algorithms. Okay, and we will be checking with the data size, increased data size. Okay, when if there are only 2 or 3 elements in a list, then both of them will work similarly. But when the size of the data will increase up to 1 lakh, then we will be getting the actual value, actual comparison between the linear search and binary search. So the complexity will define the difference of working between or among the algorithms that are available to solve a particular problem. Okay, so how to estimate complexity of algorithm? You will be having an algorithm. So we are discussing 2 examples. One is for searching in which we have two algorithms, linear search, binary search, and another problem is of sorting a list, in which we have various methods. One is selection sort, bubble sort, merge sort, quick sort, insertion sort. There are many. Okay, so we will how to estimate the complexity of algorithm, that we will come to know in this point. Okay, algorithms are usually compared along two dimensions. One is the amount of memory space required and the time taken, that you have studied earlier, temporal complexity and space complexity. Out of these two, time taken is usually considered more important. Okay, so the algorithm that will take less time will be more effective. Okay, so it will be preferred over others. So you have seen that the time taken by binary search method is less than linear search, so it is better, okay, for large data values. Actual run time, okay, depends upon the speed of the computer, the RAM that is in the system, the operating system used, and the quality of compiler that you have used. So we need more abstract way to compare the time complexity of algorithm. So you cannot fix a particular speed of a computer or a amount of RAM or operating system or compiler. So the compilers, the operating system, the RAM and the speed of the computer may vary. So how to define the complexity? So you require a more abstract way to compare the complexity, that is the time complexity. Okay, how we will be doing that? We can define time complexity as the number of elementary instructions that the program executes. Okay, so the number of instructions that are executed to perform a particular task will be considered as the time complexity. The algorithm that will take less number of steps or the less number of instructions to complete that task will be preferred. Okay, so this number is computed with respect to the size of input data. So here we have to specify a particular size of a data. Okay, then we will compare the algorithms given to us, and the algorithm that will be taking less number of instructions will be preferred. Okay, so we will be considering a given amount of data, and then we will compare the time taken by or the number of steps required by linear search and binary search, and you have seen that the binary search gives better results. Okay, similarly for a given size of data, we will be comparing the time taken or the number of steps taken by selection sort, bubble sort, insertion sort and many more. Then we will decide which one is the best. Okay, so how to define time complexity of an algorithm? It will be the number of instructions that the program or algorithm executes to perform a particular task. Clear? Now we come to big O notation. This is the notation that represents complexity. Okay, so what is big O notation? It is used to depict the growth rate of an algorithm. Okay, so it is in the terms of it is in mathematical terms that defines the growth rate of algorithm, how the algorithm performance will grow according to the increase in data size. Okay, how it is defined? Because if there is a single element to search, then there will be a separate comparison. As the number of input increases, the growth rate of algorithm will also change. So a mathematical notation to define the growth rate of an algorithm is called big O notation. So the growth rate determines algorithm's performance when its input size grows. Okay, so what is the growth rate? It is the performance rate depending upon its size. So as the number of data increases, how is the performance doing? How is the performance of an algorithm? That will be defined by that big O notation, and it defines the upper bound of the performance. We have already studied that we will be considering the upper bound, okay, so that it is the maximum possible value that we will be getting for the performance. Okay, big O notation is very useful for comparing the performance of two or more algorithms. So for example, we have the problem of sorting and we have many options: selection sort, merge sort, quick sort, bubble sort, insertion sort. Okay, then we will be comparing the growth rate of all these algorithms and then we will decide which one is the best. Okay, now the main point is here: more the number of steps taken, more is the time taken. Okay, so if an algorithm is taking more number of steps, so it will be taking more time to do that task and its performance will be lesser. It is very clear, an algorithm taking less time will be preferred over others. So an algorithm taking more steps or more time will be lesser in performance. Okay, so it is very important step that more the number of steps taken, more is the time taken by the algorithm and lesser is the performance of that algorithm. Okay, performance of an algorithm is inversely proportional to the wall clock time it records for a given input size. Okay, so this is very important, that the performance of algorithm is inversely proportional to the wall clock time. The time taken by the algorithm to run, its performance is inversely proportional to it. Okay, how? Programs with bigger O run slower. The higher will be the O notation, that means the performance of that algorithm is slower. This line is very important, you have to focus on this, that when you compare the big O notations for different algorithms, the programs with higher O notations will be running slower. Okay, now how to calculate complexity? So if we have a program, then we will have different statements in it. So we have divided them in five parts so that we can calculate the complexity. Okay, here we are assuming that all the steps take precisely same time to execute. Okay, so if there are 5 instructions, we are assuming that all those 5 instructions take similar time to execute. Okay, so what are those parts? The first one is loop. Okay, so you are familiar with the programming, so you can understand all these 5 points. The first one is loop. The running time of the loop is equal to the running time of the statements inside the loop multiplied by the number of iterations. Okay, so you know, when we use loop when we have to iterate a particular block given number of times. So if there are 5 lines in a loop and the program is running 5 times, so the complexity will be 5 into 5. So this is the running time of a loop is equal to the number of statements inside the loop multiplied by the number of iterations. It is very easy. Okay, next we have second part is nested loop, loop inside loop. Okay, so how to compute complexity of a nested loop? We analyze it inside out, from the inner one to the outermost. Okay, so the total running time is the product of the size of all loops. You have already studied how to calculate the running time of a particular single loop. Then you will multiply all the running times of the loop. It will be the total running time of a nested loop. Okay, so nested loop means loop inside loop. So the inner loop, we will calculate the complexity of each loop separately and then we will multiply the running time of all those loops. Okay, next, the third part, we have consecutive statements. Consecutive statements mean the statements following one another. one after another. If we have some statements, some programming instructions, and how to compute the complexity of those statements, it is all the statements are taking a fixed time that we have already assumed, then we will add those values. Okay, so for consecutive statements we add the time taken by each step. Okay, next, if we encounter if else statement, then how to calculate the complexity? What we do is we consider the worst case running time. Okay, which means we first consider the time taken by the first if statement, because you know that if the first statement, that is if statement, will be executed, it has to be executed, so we will consider the running time of that if, and then we will consider the time taken by either the else if part or the else part, whichever is larger, because you know that in complexity we have to take the upper bound. Okay, so we will be taking the highest possible value. So first what we will do in if else if case, we will be considering the complexity of the first if statement, then we will search which the remaining elif else has the largest number of statement, and then we will calculate the complexity of that part. Okay, so first we have to consider the if statement and then any one of the remaining statements, and then we will add them. Okay, so that will give the combined complexity of that if else or if elif else statement. Okay, the last one is logarithmic complexity. What is logarithmic complexity? When the performance time of an algorithm has logarithmic factor, either that is it takes a constant time to cut the problem size by a fraction. Okay, so if the size of the problem is cutting down by a fraction, then we consider it as a case of logarithmic complexity. You have seen, where you have seen, can you tell me? Yes, you have seen this case in binary search. In binary search, the size of the data is cut by half. If you have 1 lakh elements, at the next iteration you will be having only 50,000 elements, and the next you will be having 25,000. So the input data size is reducing by half, so it will be having logarithmic complexity. Okay, now here one thing to note is, whenever we want to calculate the complexity, you know that we calculate the upper bound. So when we get a particular statement of complexity, then we will be having, so if we have a program, then that program will be having 2-3 loops, 1 or 2 if else statements, and other single statements. So what we will be getting as a total, when we calculate the complexity of that program, we will be getting an expression of complexity. And how to decide the complexity of a particular algorithm? Here we take the most dominant term in that complexity expression. That means the highest level of complexity will be taken as the complexity of algorithm. Okay, this line will be clear to you when we will be discussing the examples of it. Okay, but you have to keep this point in mind, that whenever we get an expression of complexity, the overall complexity of the algorithm is considered by the dominant term in that expression. Okay, now we have 3 types of complexity with respect to an algorithm. It is the best case, average case, and worst case. Okay, so what are the 3 cases? The best possible performance of the algorithm will be considered as best case. The worst possible performance of algorithm is called worst case, and the average performance of that algorithm is called average case. Okay, for a searching, for example, we take a searching problem. So if we get the element at the first point, okay, then it is called best case. We have to just perform only one operation. And what is the worst case? If our element is at the last or it is not available in the list, then it is called worst case. And the remaining cases where the element is at second, third, fourth or anywhere, then it is called as average case. Okay. So the worst case complexity of the algorithm is the maximum number of steps taken for a size of n. Okay. What is the best case? It is the minimum number of steps taken by the instance of size n, and the average case is the average numbers of steps taken. Okay. So for example, you go to school from your home, and if you walk very fast, then you take 5 minutes to reach your school. And when you just walk through the distance, you take 15 minutes, and on an average you require 10 minutes to reach to your school. Okay. So if we have calculated it, that if I run very fast or if I walk very fast, then I reach school in 5 minutes, and if I run very slowly, then it takes 15 minutes to reach school. And the average is that you, on an average day, you will be requiring 10 minutes to reach to the school. Okay. So this is the example of best case, average case and worst case. And what is the most useful? Because you will be taking the upper bound, no? So you will be considering the worst case. Okay. So the most useful of these three is the worst case complexity, as it provides us the upper bound. So what if you say that you have to reach to your school, how much time you will require? So what you will consider? You will be considering the worst possibility. Okay. So you will be saying that it will require 15 minutes for me to reach the school, because it is the worst case, that is the maximum time that you will require to reach your school. So in the case of algorithms also, we consider the worst case performance of that algorithm. Okay. So to decide the complexity, we will be considering the worst case. Now in this slide, we have compared the sorting algorithms, their best case, average case and worst case. So for sorting a list of elements, we have taken selection sort, insertion sort, bubble sort, merge sort, quick sort and tree sort, and these are the performance of those algorithms. Okay. So for selection sort, the best case algorithm performance is n square. Why so? Because it uses two loops, one inside another. That's why this is the n is the number of input, the number of data, the number of elements. So you have used two loops. That's why the best case is n square. Average is also n square. Worst is also n square. Similar in the case of insertion sort and bubble sort. But in the case of merge sort, you can see. So this is through this chart you can compare the algorithm efficiency, and depending on this you can decide which one to choose. Okay, which one is the best, you can decide by comparing these complexities. Okay. So higher this number, the lower is the performance. This is to be taken care of, that if this is n square, suppose we are considering that the selection sort, the worst case selection sort is O. O means order. Okay, you have studied big O notation, that O represents order of that algorithm. So if the order of this selection sort is n square, and suppose the order of insertion sort comes to n, so which will be preferred? Insertion sort will be preferred if it is n, but you can see that it is also n square. So all these three have same performance. Okay, all these three algorithms, selection sort, bubble sort, insertion sort, have same algorithm, same performance. You can see that merge sort has a different worst case. It is the order of n log n. Okay, so this is a chart that can depict the performance of algorithm. Okay. Now What are the common growth rates? Okay, so the common growth rates are O1, big O notation. This is big O notation. O1 means order of 1, that is constant time. See, what is the example? Adding to the front of a list. So time required to add an element and the front of the beginning of the list will be of the order of O1. Then we have logarithmic complexity, that is order of log n, logarithmic. What is an example? Example is finding an entry in a sorted array. If we have a sorted array and we have to find an entry or search an entry, then it will be of log n. Next we have order of n, that is linear complexity. Finding entry in unsorted array is of order n. Then we have order of n log n, that is sorting n items by divide and conquer method, that will require the time complexity of n log n. Next we have order of n square, that is quadratic time complexity. The example of it is shortest path between two nodes in a graph. Okay. Then we have cubic complexity, that is order of n cube. N cube means it will require 3 loops, one inside another. Simultaneous linear equations. Okay. Then we have exponential time complexity 2 to the power n, and the example of it is the Tower of Hanoi problem. Okay. So these are some examples, some common growth rates that you will see in the coming examples. It can be order of 1, order of log n, order of n. What is n? N is the input size, okay? Because it will vary. It can be 1 or it can be 1 lakh depending upon the input you have provided. So the performance of an algorithm depends upon the data size. Okay, it can be order of 1, that is constant, or log n linear, it can be quadratic, it can be cubic, or it can be exponential. Okay, now let us see some examples. All the things that you have learned till now will be used here. Okay, all those terms will be clear to you through these examples. First, we have taken the question of checking a number for prime. Okay, so this is the program to check a number for prime. So this is the first statement where you input the value. So it is a single statement, so it will require a constant time called, suppose, C0. Now we have a loop which is running about n times. It is 2 to n. Okay, it is about n times. So if we are checking if n mod I is equal to 0, it is, you know how to check the complexity of if statement. Okay, so it will be requiring a constant time because it is a statement. Then we have a print statement. It will also require a constant time. So this entire body of this if, suppose it requires a constant time called C2. Next we have a else for this for loop. It will also require a constant time C3, and the statement inside it requires a constant time, suppose C4. So the total time taken by this algorithm will be equal to the sum of these. This is C0 plus C1 plus C2 multiplied by n, because you have studied that the complexity of a loop is equal to the time taken by the statements multiplied by the number of iterations. So it is running n times and it has two statements, one is of C1, another is of order C2. So C1 plus C2 multiplied by n. Next we have a constant time C3 and we have a constant time C4. Now what we do is we add all these constants C0, C3, C4 and give it a new constant called capital C0, and C1 plus C2 we give it a new constant value that is called C1n. So what we get is the time complexity is equal to C0 plus C1n, and I have told you that we take the most dominant term in the for the algorithm's performance. So this is an expression determining the time complexity of algorithm So the most dominant term in this is this one, C1n. So the complexity of this algorithm of prime will be order of n, okay, because this is the most dominant term in this expression, okay, because this is a constant, so the complexity will depend upon this n. So what you will write is the complexity of the algorithm is On. This is a big O notation, order of n. Clear? Good. Now we see binary search. So this is the program of binary search, okay, using a function. So you can see how we have calculated the time complexity. These two statements are general statements. It will require some constant time. Then we have a while loop, okay. So this loop also has a statement, that is a condition statement. It will also require a time, that is C2. Then we have these statements. We have if block. So what is the complexity of, how to calculate the complexity of this block? First we calculate the complexity of this if statement, and then we calculate the complexity of any one of the following. So we have written all the constant times that are required for these statements to execute, and we have seen that this loop will run maximum up to log n times. Why so? I have already told you that at each step the size of the data is divided by 2, okay. So the size becomes half at each iteration. That's why it will run with log base 2, log n base 2 times, okay. So this is the example, and then we add all these values, and after adding all these values we get this expression C0 plus C1 log n base 2, and the most dominant term in this expression is log n base 2. So the order or the complexity of binary search is of order log n base 2, okay. So this is how we calculate the complexity of an algorithm. Now how we have decided that the complexities of binary search is log n base 2? This slide will make it clear to you. So in binary search we reduce the list size by half until we have only one element left in the list, okay. So this is the rule, this is the method how we work in binary search. We make the size half until we have only one element left, okay. So let us suppose that our loop takes k times to reach up to the size of 1. You know this the method of binary search, that we have to reduce the size of the given list by half at each step, and we continue this process until we reach to the last only one element in the list. So we are supposing that our loop requires k time or k iteration to go to the size 1. So how can we represent it in a formula? So in a mathematical terminology we can say that n upon 2 to the power k is equal to 1, because the total size of the list divided by the number of iterations taken give us the last one element, okay. So if we are iterating that loop k times, then it becomes 2 to the power k, because we are making the size half. So 2 to the power k, and when n is divided by 2 to the power k we just get 1, okay. How you will understand this? That is, if we run the loop of reducing the size to the half k times, we will just get one element. So in mathematical terms we write that n upon 2 to the power k is equal to 1. Now we can write it as 2 to the power k is equal to n. Then we take log base 2 both sides, and you know how to do it, the logarithmic operations, you know, you have seen this in mathematics. So applying log both the sides, we will be having this equation. This k will come forward, this will become k into log 2 base 2, and log 2 base 2 is 1. So k into 1 is equal to log 2n. So the number of steps required k will be equal to log n base 2. So this is how we have reached to the conclusion, this conclusion that I have shown you earlier, that it will take log n base 2 time. And how we have assumed this? This is depend on the basis of this equation, because we have a total size of n elements. It requires k iterations. In each iteration we are reducing the size by half. So to reach to just one element we require k steps. So this equation becomes n upon 2 to the power k is equal to 1, and performing all those operations of logs we get the value of k, that the number of steps required is log n base 2. Okay, so try to understand this mathematical representation and you will be able to understand how we have got to that conclusion of this complexity part. Okay, now we have some examples from the book. You can see this example. In this we have two loops, one after another, not inside. So this loop is having two statements, this loop also having two statements. Okay, so each statement takes a constant time. Suppose c0, this will take c1, similarly it will take c2, and this will c3. But if you remember how to calculate the complexity of a loop, the number of steps required by the statements multiplied by the size, that is number of iterations. So this requires n iterations, so n into c0 plus c1 plus m into c2 plus c3, and we just give those values, the addition of those constant, a new constant c1, so it becomes n c1 plus m c2. So the complexity of this code fragment or a program will be of the order n plus m. So the big O notation will be O n plus m. Clear? Next example, we have this code fragment. So we have three nested loops here, one for I, another for j, another for k. So each loop is executing n times, so the runtime efficiency of this code fragment will be order of n cube. Okay, so these are the examples to make you aware about how to calculate the complexity of a given program, okay, or a given algorithm. Okay, now this is another example in which we have a function called doIt, okay, which has an efficiency of 5n, and we have used this doIt in different situations. Okay, so here doIt has efficiency of 5n, and this will require some constant time. So the function doIt is executed n times. So doIt is inside a loop that is executing n times, so the runtime complexity will be 5n into n, that is order of 5n square, and the most dominant term is n square, that's why we will be taking as order of n square. Next we have this B part. Here we are taking that doIt requires n square time complexity. So here we have one loop, then we have second loop, and inside this we have this doIt function which requires n square operations. So what will be the time complexity? It will be this n square, the most dominant term in this, and it is inside this loop, so it is less than n, so it will run n minus 1 times. So this is, and this loop I loop is running up to n terms. So the total time required is equal to n into n minus 1 into n square. We have not considered these constant times. Okay, so we have just taken the dominant terms. So here the expression becomes n to the power 4 minus n to the power 3, and the most dominant term is n to the power 4. So efficiency of this code fragment is order of n4. Now here do it has the complexity of n square, but you can see here the increment value is 2 times the size of input is n, but the iterations are multiplied by 2. Okay, so the function do it is executed inside a logarithmic loop, because you have seen that I is equal to I into 2. Okay, it is not I is equal to I plus 2, it is I into 2. That is, I is doubling every time. Okay, so how to calculate the complexity of it? It will be log 2n into n square. So n square is the complexity of this do it, and this whole loop will require log n base 2 complexity. So the multiplication becomes log 2n into n square, that is order of n square log n. So these are the examples through which you can understand the process to calculate complexity. I think you are clear with it. Great. Now this is the assignment for you. This is taken from the book. So you can calculate the complexity of these program codes by yourself depending upon the terms on the points that you have learned. These are simple 5 points. First one is for single loop, another is for double loop, nested loop. Third one is for consecutive statements. Fourth one was for if else if statement, and the last one was for logarithmic complexity. Okay, so if you are aware about all those 5 points, you can calculate the complexity of these questions very easily. So with this we come to the end of this chapter. In this chapter we have discussed the method how to calculate the complexity of an algorithm or a given code segment. Okay, so it may seem a bit difficult in the beginning, but if you go through this video again and again and see those examples that we have discussed in this video, you will be able to solve all these assignments on your own, and you can master the skill of calculating the complexity of an algorithm, because on the basis of this you can decide the best algorithm suited for a particular given problem. Okay, I think I am able to make this chapter clear to you. If you have any doubts, you can ask me, and we will be meeting in the next video lesson.